Hello, fellow beings of light, and welcome to episode 17 of our podcast. I don't know about all of you, but so far spring has been quite the roller coaster in terms of not only everything that is coming through, but when it comes to our podcast and activations as well. We are only 2 weeks into spring and 2 episodes into our themes for it, and our usual structure and flow has been turned completely upside down. For the first time, 2 themes have been joined together and spread out over 2 parts, over 2 episodes. And for the second time this season, the accompanying activation has come before the episode instead of after it. And not only that, been merged with a larger activation. For our first spring theme episode, it was merged with our spring equinox activation. And this week, for the second, it is merged with our 4/4 portal activation. Oh, and in case it's not obvious, pause, go back and catch that 4/4 portal activation if you haven't already, because it is a bridge both metaphorically and energetically between the first part of our double themed episodes, which was episode 15, and the second part being shared here today. These change-ups have been both, I almost want to say unsettling, but I'm going to go with unusual. They have been both unusual and enlightening at the same time. Much like a lot of what has been coming through has been. In good ways. Unusual in good ways. I guess spring is just going to be like that. And you know what? I'm totally here for it. My inner child and I are here for the roller coaster with our arms up in the air and tones of remembrance and awakening shouting from our mouths. That's a pretty awesome visual. Okay, a bit of a recap. In our spring equinox activation and the accompanying episode 15 of our podcast, since they were backwards, we got into the divine masculine and the divine feminine, into them representing the original separation from source, the original instance of the illusion that is duality, and in turn, the original necessitation of polarity. And we worked on re-experiencing both them and that original separation, on shifting our perspective from that illusion of duality to polarity, from the illusion of separation into unity, so that we can see oneness in everything, not only with others, but with our thoughts and emotions and our experiences as well, and truly begin returning to it, to that oneness and connection. To facilitate that, our inner children introduced a seesaw example to aid us in understanding not only polarity, the pull of opposing or contrasting extremes of a frequency that bring them back into balance, but in understanding the equal role that the divine masculine and the divine feminine play in all of us and in all of creation. The divine masculine representing using thoughts to form the structure of creation, and the divine feminine representing using emotions to power the flow of creation. And together, when equally embodied, they balance each other out. Allow us to achieve that 0 point energy that I have been vibing in for months now. Knowing and feeling everything and nothing at the same time. Being able to temporarily experience from one end of each frequency to the other without losing the infinite balance found between them, as we are all intended to. We returned to that seesaw example in this week's accompanying activation in our 4/4 portal activation in order to show how past and future versions of ourselves do the same. The pull of what can be added to us from the future and the pull of what can be released in us from the past. Two opposing extremes of the frequency that is us, meeting and balancing out in the middle, in the present. Now, if you listened to that activation, then you know that we shifted from that basic childlike seesaw example, a process of balance that requires a lot of energy and time to constantly maintain, to engage and maintain, to something far more advanced that accomplishes the same result with ease and instantaneously. The true way that we achieve that infinite balance, that is 0 point energy. Our seesaw was transformed, courtesy of our guide Thoth and his obsession with sacred geometry, into an infinity symbol, an infinite state of motion, of flow, of in and out, that receives from the future and releases from the past, creating unity, balance across all of our timelines. And as we officially begin this episode, we are going to continue using that more advanced example, that infinity symbol, applying it to the divine masculine and the divine feminine, to our thoughts and emotions, so that you too can begin working towards being in an infinite state of 0 point energy. And helping us, well, I have more than a feeling that it will continue to be Thoth. I say more than a feeling because that shift in example from the basic to the advanced, from that seesaw to the infinity symbol, it was as much for me as it was for all of you. A call for me to step closer to the answer of a question, or rather the solution of a puzzle that he has presented me with along my own journey. A solution that I am being required to reach in order to pull a majority of the original galactic-based council of 12 onto my side, onto all of our sides, both below and above, when it comes to reclaiming and repairing the original blueprints for ourselves, for the experiment, and for balance between sovereignty and unity across all of us. That puzzle, to recognize the saying that two wrongs can't make a right. With what I am asking the council to do, to accept that two wrongs can, in fact, make a right, restore balance, that the interference that is my light body, the 13th pillar and vault to the original blueprints, that was set into motion to counterbalance the interference that the council initiated into those blueprints, can achieve the goals of both sides that created those interferences. Bring balance to them. How is this, my side quest, if you will, relevant to our current themes and what we are working with in this set of podcast episodes and activations? Well, to explain that, I both need to apologize and not apologize to all of you at the same time, because there has been, let's call it for the most part, unintentional foundational misperception or distortion put into play by myself in my attempt to relieve you of another foundational misperception or distortion when it comes to duality and separation. I say unintentional because I was both following what was coming in through my team of guides and at first unaware of the misperception, the distortion, until I was recently forced to ask my own question. Why was I being shown that a return to polarity was the way to repair the distortion of duality, the way that things should be, when other channels and guidance like the Law of One were being shown and sharing that both duality and polarity needed to be repaired, needed to be removed? The answer I've come to on my own, and then reinforced by Thoth and his infinity symbol example, is that the two foundational misperceptions and distortions that are duality and polarity are necessary to bring balance. That those two perceived wrongs, they make a right, in much the same way I am being asked to prove to the council. The original illusion that is duality, a masculine illusion and structure. It allows opposing thoughts and emotions to be separate from each other. It allows opposing points in our timelines, the past and future, to be separate from each other. It allows different galactic races, including the human race, to be separate from each other. It allows for the concept of sovereignty to exist, for uniqueness to exist, for differences to exist. But at the same time, it necessitated a counter illusion to be put into place. The counter illusion, that is polarity, a feminine illusion and flow that allows for those opposing thoughts and emotions to be connected along the same frequency, that allows those opposing points in our timelines to be connected along the same frequency, that allows those different galactic races to be connected along the same frequency. That is source. It allows for the concept of unity, oneness, connection, and when used as a counter illusion to duality, it allows for balance to exist between both, for both to exist at the same time, for both extremes of every thought and emotion to both exist at the same exact time and not exist at the same time. 0 point energy. For both the past and the future to exist at the same exact time in the present, in 0 point energy. For both sovereignty and unity to exist, to be possible at the same exact time. All of us, one with source, one with the collective that is all, and still able to remain sovereign, unique, different. 0 point energy. Take a moment. Think about that. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's get into, or rather back to, our continuation of re-experiencing the divine masculine and the divine feminine, our thoughts and emotions from our last theme episode through the lens of our infinity symbol. We are replacing the back to basics seesaw, the back and forth pull of opposing extremes and contrast in order to bring about balance, which, in all honesty, if you really stop to think about how a seesaw works, that balance never stays. It's not infinite. One end is always up and the other always down. They take turns, yes, but they are unable to naturally balance at the center. Not without us putting the work in, that in the moment, time and energy needed to hold both ends up at the same time in balance. And that right there, that is why we are replacing that seesaw with the more advanced infinity symbol. No more up and down motion. No more exertion of time and energy on our part to bring about balance in our lives, in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our timelines, and more. Just 3 points along each frequency that represents those things. Top, middle, bottom, left, middle, and right, if you prefer. Future, present, and past. Any of those and all of them that are connected by a continuous flow of energy that moves both in and out of the center point at the same time, instantaneously, infinitely, through the structure that is the infinity symbol. Our man Thoth, he just threw in a visual of DNA, a 3D visual of the infinity symbol and frequency lines in motion. I'm not going to get into that, but definitely something we should all be thinking about. Another connection, another piece to our individual and collective puzzles, perhaps. Nope, not going to get into it. We are going to stay on track. For once, maybe. Examples. The divine masculine and the divine feminine. See them both on opposing ends of the same frequency, with source and, I'm going to say also our inner child, our purest state, and the closest to source that we are until we fully remember, at its center. See the structure, the shape of the infinity symbol that the masculine creates beyond the bounds of that frequency line with thought. See the energy moving along the structure, in and out of the center at the same time. The flow that the feminine creates with emotion. More importantly, see how both are equally necessary in order to bring about balance, to bring about that state of both sovereignty and unity at the same time, to bring about both aspects of creation at the same time, structure and flow, expression. Hint, this is what co-creation really means at its core. The interplay of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, weaving through source, our heart center. We co-create first from within, so that we may co-create from beyond ourselves, with others and the universe around us. Next example, thoughts. Let's go with good and bad. Thought representations of high and low frequency. See them both on opposing ends of the same frequency, with the 0 point energy of knowledge, of being, existing at its center. See the structure and flow of the infinity symbol connecting them continuously and instantaneously. See that both extremes, good and bad, high and low frequency, are equally necessary in order to bring about balance, to bring about that state of knowing, of being everything and nothing at the same time. In this case, unity. That state of everyone and everything, every frequency, being both good and bad, high and low frequency at the same time, equal with each other, one with each other at all times, in a state of unity, a state that cannot exist without both extremes, without the concepts of good and bad, high and low frequency. And remember that knowledge equals the masculine half of the first example, and unity equals the feminine half of it. You'll need that later. Next example, emotions. Let's go with love and hate. See them both on opposing ends of the same frequency, with the 0 point energy of emotion at its center. See the structure and flow of the infinity symbol, connecting them continuously and instantaneously. See that both extremes, love and hate, are equally necessary in order to bring about balance, to bring about that state of feeling everything and nothing at the same time. In this case, unconditional love. That state of everyone and everything being able to both love and hate someone or something at the same time, equal with each other, one with each other at all times, in a state of unconditional love, a state that cannot exist without both extremes, without the concepts of love and hate. And remember that emotion equals the feminine half of the first example. And unconditional love, that's a thought. Connect that with that first example. Because now we're going to come full circle back to that first example, the masculine and feminine extremes, in the light of the second and third examples, representing them, and not just representing them, but balance between them, right? What do we get when we plug the second and third examples into the first? The balance of masculine thoughts and the balance of feminine emotions. Knowing everything and nothing at the same time, and feeling everything and nothing at the same time. 0 point for each. See them both on opposing ends of the same frequency, with 0 point at its center. See the structure and flow of the infinity symbol, connecting them continuously and instantaneously. See that both extremes, everything and nothing at the same time, in regards to both our thoughts and emotions, are necessary in order to bring about complete balance, to bring about not only each of our respective returns to oneness with Source, but oneness with ourselves as the beings of light, the beings of pure unity and unconditional love that we are, that we have always been, that we will always be, no matter how often we forget it. Take another moment. Think about all of that. Because just like the accompanying 4/4 portal activation, that was kind of a lot. Because just like the accompanying 4-4 portal activation, we skipped right on past the practice portion of learning and growing and expanding, and we jumped right in, threw you right on into the deep end, from basic to advanced. And once again, you did it. Even if you haven't stepped into a 0 point state, even if you aren't quite ready to embody that state continuously and infinitely, you have just received the foundation that will help get you there. And you stuck with it, with us getting there through 2 episodes and 2 activations. At least I hope you did, because it is through all 4 together that you will fully receive what is necessary in the unfolding that is necessary for you to start taking steps in that direction towards achieving that 0 point state. That's all I've got for you. Old man Thoth, you've been kind of silent, working through me in the background. Have you got anything more to add? Yeah. I know, I've both solved the puzzle you asked me to and not solved it at the same time. I'm working on it. Give my human mind some time to catch up. Oh boy. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. I'm beyond happy to say that for the first time in a while, it went the exact direction I thought it would. As much as I love asking questions and learning new things, I also love when pieces begin coming together. And what has happened over the course of these 2 podcast episodes and their accompanying activations is a whole lot of pieces coming together for a whole lot of things. Join us next week for episode 18, which is part 8 of my 6 degrees of soul separation journey. I'm looking forward to that one because it will be bringing me closer to the last of my fellow 5 soul aspects. Then join us again the following week for the 3rd and final theme episode for the first half of spring. An episode that will be all about celebrating ourselves and the expansion that we are experiencing. And I'm guessing the inner children will be back for that one. And that celebration, we have definitely earned that. Arishtakirkati.